welcome, everybody. My name is April, and my spirits and I together, we are called Australia Stunners. Welcome to the Conspiracies podcast, where we talk about spirits, mysterious celebrity deaths, any type of conspiracy, and just to find out what my spirits really see and what my spirits got to say about it. So today we're talking about J-Lo. I know a lot of people know, and I'm sure you've heard in the news that J-Lo is going through a divorce with Ben Affleck. And J-Lo is a Leo. She's got a moon in Scorpio at 29 degrees. It's a very fated degree, very destined degree. It's a very rushed degree. Ironically, Diddy, also known as Sean Combs, is a Scorpio. I wanted to talk a little bit about some interesting things about him too. I was looking at his natal chart, and oh my God. He's got Saturn conjunct with the asteroid Lucifer. Everyone's like, what is that? Um, it means that he came here to clear some pretty dark karma from his past lives. Okay, so he also has Saturn, Lucifer squaring Mars at 29 degrees Leo. This is a fame degree. So he is someone that can also be very aggressive and violent. And also, it could mean if he's not careful, he may refuse to clear some karmic debt. So he might just be someone that, hey, I'm not going to change. I'm going to just go down with the ship and I'm going to take everyone down with me, which I believe is pretty much happening now. I know that he tried to make bail and they denied him. Right now, he's been arrested. He's been, I think he's somewhere in New York. And you know what's really strange, and this is testament how powerful astrology is. Um, they raided his house on the lunar eclipse in Libra sometime in March, I believe, of this year. And this year is a karmic year. So this is the karmic loop, they call it. My spirits call it the karmic loop. So 2024 equals the number 8. 8 is considered the karmic loop, means what goes around comes around. Okay. So this is a very debt collecting year ruled by Saturn. So Saturn's coming in to collect, rain or shine. Okay. Right now we are in Libra season at the moment. And then we had this, interestingly enough, we had this full moon in Pisces lunar eclipse, and Pisces rules cinema, celebrities, Hollywood. Um, and it doesn't shock me that we are seeing the downfall of like stars just falling out of the sky of celebrities. So what goes up must come down. Pluto in Capricorn as well. I mean, my God, the last time Pluto was in Capricorn in 2008, the USA, the United States of America, had a financial crisis. So I'm anticipating too, as well, seeing some problems with the banks and a lot of economic problems for the United States, which most people are very aware of. That's already happening now. So, but going back to Diddy and J Lo, this is interesting because Spirit was leading me to a lot of different pieces of information here. It's all clustered together. It was the same feeling I had when I was reading on Kim Porter's death. Okay, which mind you was a murder, and I have a sneaking suspicion they're going to reopen her case. Um, I feel that her passing was definitely not from whatever they said it was, like pneumonia. And I think her coroner, or the person that was doing her autopsy, also passed away suspiciously after she died. So so as you go further down the rabbit hole, it's like, okay, how could he just suspiciously die? So he must know something, right? um but it happened. And I feel like Jay-Z, I feel like Beyonce's got some problems here coming. I also feel like their marriage is in trouble. I had predicted and talked about this sometime at the beginning of the year and a little bit last year as well. And I'm going to get into that a little bit too in terms of why I'm saying this. But I want to go back to J Lo. And J-Lo, I know just looking at her natal chart, she's got problems. She's got something she needs to answer to. She's got this moon in Scorpio. So her secret world, sometimes she can hold secrets for other people. That's the interesting part about these moon and Scorpio folks. For those of you that are listening, got a moon in Scorpio, okay, watch it, okay? Someone may tell you a dark secret and you're just like, "Oh my God, if I say anything," and you could take that secret with you all the way to the end of your life, you know? But that's the whole essence and the texture, I'll call it, of that moon in Scorpio energy. Now, Spirit says J Lo has criminal problems coming. She may be asked to go to court. We are also in the midst of Libra season, which is the element of justice. I feel like there's people that are not going to be wanting to do contracts with her anymore or working with her anymore. Now, I sense because they know that there may be some things coming for her. And I say this because I feel the true reason, because when I first found out about the divorce, Spirit says there's more to the story. Don't believe what the media is saying. The media just kind of put something out there like, oh, it's just like Jennifer's so into her fame and Ben's just sick of it. He wants a little more private lifetime. He doesn't want to be in the limelight as much, and Jennifer just loves being in the camera, and he's so annoyed with this, and that's kind of how the media sort of played this out. But this is not what Spirit said at all. They said, oh, there's more to the story. She's got problems coming with legal issues, and there is a quote unquote provocative piece of information, whether video, text, or both, of her and maybe multiple partners or sex partners or something like this, and Ben saw it. Not only did Ben see it, someone presented this information to him, and he obviously, this didn't sit very well with him. This is exactly what I was told, and I have to be careful what I say on Instagram because I'm often shadow banned, so I have to use like coded wording. Like, even on Instagram, I can't even say like political leaders' names because then they start tracking me. So I have to use like initials and stuff like this. It's just a pain in the butt. But anyway, but I feel what's happening here is, let's go back to when there was a shooting at a club. I think it was back in the 90s. I remember when this came out because I might be older than some of you that are listening here. And I remember this because I remember it on the news, and Spirit was talking about the shooting. So I started researching and looking stuff up, and I found out that there's a woman called, I believe her name is Natalia, or Natalia Rubin. She was shot in the face in this club. And apparently it was over fight over Matthew Scar Allen, if I'm saying that name right. And between that man and Sean Combs, or as we also known as Diddy, and apparently this poor woman got shot in the face. Okay. And what's really screwed up about the whole thing is rapper Sean, I think that's his name, rapper Sean, ended up taking the hit or the blame for this, while J-Lo and Diddy took off and swore and just fled the club. But what Spirit was telling me is J-Lo had a gun in her purse. They showed me like a gun in her purse. And she brought it in the club either for Diddy. I can't imagine why the hell she would want it. But I think she did this as a favor, or she did this as like for whatever reason. And I don't think that she thought it would come down to this. Obviously, if she knew, she probably wouldn't have never showed up. Okay. I'm not sure how this all went down, but I think she was just like, oh, but no big deal. I'll just put it in my purse, for safety or whatever. But I don't know. I'm not her. But whatever happened here, she had the damn gun in her purse. And that was the same gun that Sean Combs, aka Diddy, used in this argument and shot this poor woman, Natalia Rubin, in the face. So J-Lo has some explaining to do, and then she's got this sex tape that Ben saw, so she's completely humiliated. I felt a lot of shame When I first initially heard about the divorce in the news, I felt a lot of shame around this. I don't think it was so much from him as it was more so from her. And I think that, give or take, leading into the future here, she may have to go back to court, because I think this woman who's still alive is going to reopen the case. And this is where it gets even more freaking interesting, okay? So Spirit goes from this and jumps right into Tupac. I'm like, what? They're like, you got to talk about Tupac. So I'm like, oh my God, this is so overwhelming. So I was like, okay. So I started just taking down notes and channeling the information. And they said Tupac was murdered and Diddy is responsible, as well as for Heavy D's death and a lot of other people's death. But they kept talking about Heavy D, okay? And I believe, from what my spirits are explaining to me, that Tupac's murder case is going to be reopened. Going to be reopened. Don't be surprised if the family of Tupac reopens his murder case, because Diddy is responsible behind this. He's the one that said, go ahead and do this. He's the one that was calling the shots. So you got this J-Lo thing, you got this Tupac thing, and then from that point, Spirit jumps right into Jay-Z. I'm like, oh my God. So let's go back to Jay-Z. Spirit says Jay-Z is responsible for a lot of things that aren't great. And Beyonce is tied into something here with the lady Cathy White. Now, supposedly Cathy White was pregnant and she was about to make this public because she is the mistress of Jay-Z. Now, Jay-Z, from what I've heard over the years, is notorious for all these he's got baby mamas, and they've tried to take him to court for money and stuff like this, and he denied because he doesn't want all this getting out because of his look and his status and all of that. He doesn't want anyone smearing his name. And so he tried to pay them to shut them up. And I do believe he has other children that are unaccounted for. And if they are accounted for, it's everything is hush hush and kept quiet. But this lady, Cathy White, supposedly they said she died from a brain aneurysm. She was going to make this pregnancy public. I believe there is some truth to this. Yes, Spirit was talking about how they need to be responsible for this woman's passing. And I believe that, I know there's some people that are listening to me that love Beyonce and dance to her music and all that. And don't get me wrong, she's got some good music. She does. However, there is something that doesn't exempt her from this. There is a connection. There's something very odd about the whole thing. And I don't know why Spirit pairs them together. Obviously, they're married and stuff, but I feel like there's going to be some questions around this for her as well, about this poor woman. And she died in a very, very tragic, horrific way. I think she was bullied. I think that she was, I think she died a very terrible death. That's what my spirits told me. And supposedly they're saying it's a brain aneurysm. I think it goes, it's much more sinister than what has been said in the news, or what has been portrayed. Keep in mind, Jay-Z, if you look at all the stuff with Rihanna was basically sold, almost like a sex trafficking thing. She was basically sold from her own family to sign this deal, this record deal, all of that. And Jay-Z, took her under his wing. And I know that there was a lot of rumors about that as well. So he's in trouble for some things for underage girls. But the worst of this all is Aaliyah. Okay, guys, those of you who listen up. Last year, when I was doing the Kim Porter reading, Jay-Z and all these rappers it was just like, I felt like I was pulling all these skeletons out of the closet. It was like Biggie Smalls, like all that. There's going to be the Biggie Smalls' death too, as well, I believe is linked to Diddy, because that's what Spirit had mentioned. But Jay-Z and this other person, some other person, something is going to come up about Aaliyah's supposed plane crash. I believe that her plane crash was um I believe something about the whole damn thing was rigged. I feel like this was a setup. That's the feeling I have. And that's the feeling I've had for a while. And I believe this is going to also be resurfaced. And again, Jay-Z is going to have to, he's going to be questioned for this or something like this. And I believe Damien Dash is the ex-husband or boyfriend of, well, not ex. I mean, I think they were still together at the time. Aaliyah and him. I think he knows a lot more than he has said. And I said this last year. For those that follow me on Instagram, I said this last year. I go, Damien Dash is going to start coming out in interviews and talking more about what really happened. I think he snuffed his voice a little bit for the sake of Aaliyah's family so they can grieve. But I think he knows that Jay-Z is somehow linked to this. I think he knows something. And he's been quiet because he doesn't want to stir up the pot. But now that all this shit's coming out with Diddy, all this stuff coming out with Jay-Z, all this stuff coming about Tupac, all this stuff coming out about Biggie, all this stuff, right? It's all coming out because it's the right time for the stars to fall out of the sky, meaning we have no more gatekeepers, you guys. The era of gatekeepers is over. It's over. With this Pluto and Capricorn, it's cleaning house. We're moving into Aquarius now. That means liberation. No more of we look up to these authorities anymore. Because if you look at the sign of Capricorn, Capricorn is authoritative figures, right? Political leaders, celebrities, people like that. We're not doing it no more. We're not doing the dark side of Capricorn energy. No way. We're transforming this into more liberated time. That's why we're going to see the fall of Hollywood. All the Hollywood studios are going to slowly start closing down and declining because everyone has a studio in their house now. If you got the money for it, you got yourself a podcast studio. I mean, heck, I'm recording this from my office right now. You know what I mean? People, they got money. Mark Wahlberg's got money. They're going to make their own studios. That's the liberation of Aquarius, like doing what you need to do with all this new technology. So, um, we're also going to see within Libra season around this time too, a lot of changes with relationships, how we relate to people, even in business. Relationships are changing in the celebrity world. We're going to see a lot of people not wanting to work with that person. Oh, you're associated with Diddy. You were at the Diddy party with the freak offs. Oh, hell no. I'm not endorsing that. I'm not going to sign for that. So you're going to see a lot of people in the celebrity world starting to pull away from these crowds. They don't want nothing to do with it. And look at 50 Cent. 50 Cent has been talking about Diddy for how long, and he doesn't like him because he knew the way he was. And I think he's got something coming out either on Netflix here coming out very soon about the truth about really what went down with Diddy and stuff like that. He's never liked him. I believe he's a Cancer too. He's a very perceptive man. Anybody that's got Cancerian energies, your ancestors are moving through you, giving you a lot of information. So they probably just warned him. Or he's just a very perceptive person. And he just didn't want to get involved in that. And it's smart of him to do so because now he's on top. Now now he looks a little bit more like his sheets are clean, so to speak. Okay. Moving on from that, I do want to bring up Jonathan Oddie. You guys remember that guy? Jonathan Oddie. He was interviewed and saying to everyone that he's the sex slave of Sean Combs, all because he shot up the Trump Hotel. You guys know what I'm talking. You remember when this shit came out? For those that are listening, I know you guys know what I'm talking about. His name's Jonathan Oddie. And it was the weirdest goddamn interview because you can see him in a hospital gown. And he's like, straight up, you can find this on YouTube. Look it up. He's the guy that shot up the Trump Hotel. Then he tried to run away. Then then I think he got shot in the leg or something like this. But he explains to them, I am a sex slave of Sean Combs. And he's a part of this group of people. Okay. And he was with Cassie. And I was a sex slave and I was forced to be with Cassie. and I ended up getting herpes. Supposedly, this is what he says in the interview. And he tried to sue Sean Combs because he got herpes. I mean, this is just getting weirder by the minute. And I remember when I saw that, I'm like, well, how in the hell did he shoot up the Trump Hotel? And I'm wondering if I'm not sure why he did this, but I got to thinking about this, and I got to thinking about how maybe the spirits were making him a little crazy or a little nuts, or kind of making him wild to do something wild to get attention, to draw attention to himself, so that clip comes out in that interview. I don't know why I felt that, and I feel that coming mainly from Kim Porter. I had a dream about Kim Porter holding her 2 daughters. She has these 2 twin daughters, and I had a dream about her 1 week before I did the live reading on her and channeled the whole information, which, mind you, J-Lo came up in this reading last year in 2023. And for those that are listening, if you go back to some of my recordings, you can find the Kim Porter reading live from 2023. I had seen P. Diddy in an orange suit. I had a vision of this. I knew something was coming for him legally. I knew that it was on its way, and then it happened. But Kim Porter, I feel, was in the atmosphere kind of stirring something up, so these things get known, so these things get heard, so these things get seen. The ancestors of Cassie, these things get known, these things get seen. When you start to piss the ancestors off and you start to piss the spirits off, people start saying weird shit. They start blurting stuff. They start talking to the wrong people. Well, maybe the right people. The paradox is like he just blurted it and said it, and they caught that on camera. So I think that they started watching him around this time, because obviously he shot up the Trump Hotel. And meaning that they were watching Diddy. Like, I felt they were watching him for some time, but they watched him even more so, I think, after this. Keep in mind, he's got a Miami location and he's got an LA location. And the LA location he has an underground pool, underground tunnels. It's all over the internet. You can see this, to the Playboy Mansion. And the neighbors were saying they were bussing women in, or bussing people in the middle of the night. Stuff like this. And then also, for those of you who want to track this as well, you can go on Google Maps. You look at Diddy's house in Miami, and it's right where the port is. So all these ports and containers come in, and you could traffic humans through there. And supposedly all this baby oil that was out on the internet, they found all these large amounts of baby oil. They were filled with I can't remember. It was
GBH.
GBH, yes. And
Or GHB. Sorry, it's a date-rate drug. Sorry about that.
Yeah, it was like, supposedly it was laced with that, which kind of gives you like a euphoric reaction, or it makes you really sleepy or high or something. And so pretty much they found that it was laced with this. So he was using this on people. God only knows what else was going on there in those tapes. But we're going to start to see a lot of celebrities really getting in trouble. I think Oprah's also got some problems coming. Oprah, she was the one who owns all this land and stuff over in Hawaii, and she's known for these orphanages down in Africa, and supposedly there's a more sinister side to this, and which isn't a good look for her. I've been hearing about this. Same thing with Madonna. I heard about something about this as well. So I feel like there's going to be more information coming out around Oprah. I think Oprah's next. I think Jay-Z's next. I think Tupac's murder case is going to be reopened. I think that Natalia Rubin case is going to be open. J-Lo is going to be involved in this. She's going to have to answer to this. She's going to have to be questioned. She's going to have to come back more than likely for a trial. So expect to see her more in the news. And the real reason why that marriage failed with Ben is because he saw the tapes with Diddy. And these aren't, PG rated tapes. These are very provocative pieces of footage, and it's all coming out now because now the feds have it. And so, and I think Diddy's on a suicide watch, from what I understand. So just like Epstein, um he was obviously he passed away, supposedly. I have to look into that because a lot of people ask me, is he still alive? Because they're cloning people now. But anyway, this is what I got for a lot of this JLo stuff. I know a lot of people were very curious about what's happening. I think she's also moving or selling a property or a house. This is the feeling I'm getting as well, and I was looking for, but I feel like she's going to have to answer to this, and there's going to be like possibly a court date, but we're going to see the end of contracts, the end of gatekeepers. We also have a financial crisis here coming up because the last time Pluto moved into Capricorn, like I was saying, was back in 2008 for the United States. So, and all these new relationships and business are changing in the celebrity world based upon all this dark side coming out. And I think also as they start to look into this, Clive Davis, I think, is going to be looked at or evaluated because of Whitney Houston's death. This is something I think could be potentially coming out as well. Is something that Spirit has also mentioned. But I believe this is all going to be happening between now and 2027 because of that Pisces lunar eclipse that happened. I think that this is going to be carrying over for the next 3 years. So it's the fall of the celebrities, as Pisces rules Hollywood, the celebrity world, cinema, the movies. So a lot of people are not going to be looking at their authority figures the same way anymore, especially in politics as well, with that Pluto and Capricorn. And with this Jupiter and Gemini, I want to encourage communities and groups to really lean into each other for help. People that get you, people that see eye to eye belief system, things like this, because we're going to see a lot of merging of political parties, the blending of parties, where, what do you call them, swing states, things like that. Because of this Jupiter and Gemini transit. And when people were so shocked because they talked about RFK and endorsing Trump weeks before it actually happened, I said, don't be surprised if that happens. Somebody steps down, somebody steps in, somebody gets replaced, someone merged with the other team, things like that. Because when you twin, you win. That twinning energy is winning energy, which means that we can't survive on our own. You understand that, right? And that goes for everybody that's listening. How can you make it in this economy by yourself? How can you survive on your own? What if there's, more destruction, more devastation? What if things start popping off? Look at the condition the country's in. Do you expect things to get better? No. They get worse before they get better because we're dying away of the old systems. This is the decaying and dying away of the old systems. That's what a lot of the fall energy brings in. The death and decay of things as we know it, right? It's over. All the way in the celebrity world and all the way down in our personal life. So find your tribes, people, because we need each other. Everyone's so, reactive and saying, oh, I'm not going to talk to this person anymore. It's like, well, you just never know in this world who you're going to need, who you may need a helping hand from. So we need to be available for each other. And that's why this Jupiter and Gemini transit is so freaking powerful. And again, I'm surprised people have not been talking about this more. It's unbelievable. I think people thought I was out of my mind when I brought it up. I said, no, don't be surprised. This happens even in the political world. We'll see what happens. And then poof, So this election's going to be interesting, people. So let's see what happens next. We're like how many days away from the election? Oh my God, it's like right around the corner. So I'm going to be talking about the election and the astrology and everything in between coming up on the next episode. Okay. Anyway, that's what I got on J-Lo, Jay-Z, Diddy, Tupac, and all of that. Again, my name is April, and my spirits and I together, we're called Austriastandens. If you're interested in booking a reading with me, come check me out at austriastandens.net, or come check me out on Instagram. I'm over there quite a bit at Austriastandens. All right, guys, take care. Thank you.